Hi everyone, Daniel back here with Superfeng99. We're in the home stretch. We are in Black Stars Rise, which is the penultimate scenario of Path to Carcosa. It's a good one. It's a memorable one. It's one where there's kind of a lot to talk about. Shall we get right into it, Superfeng?
Let's do it. There's a lot to talk about, as you said.
All right. Here we are. It's the map. We've got some locations to talk about. We've got some agendas and acts to talk about. Superfeng, take us away.
Indeed. Yeah. So this one by far has the most complicated and probably the longest setup of the scenarios in this campaign, and probably for a while as well. The main draw of the scenario is that there are basically two different versions of the scenario, kind of. And which version you are doing is randomly chosen. So you do not know which one you are doing. And the kind of gimmick, quote unquote, is to figure out which one you are doing. So the main way that is done is by in setup, there are a set of cards that there are two versions of. So there is the 2A and the 2C agendas, the Chapel of Saint Aubert and the Abbey Tower. Both have two versions of them. One of them is tagged with the Flood Below encounter set, and one of them is tagged with the Vortex Above encounter set. And you are meant to randomize between these two versions, not between individually of each card. I should say all of them will be one encounter set or the other. Um, it'd be actually very messed up if they somehow got intermixed with each other. Anyway, so in TTS we have these bags here. I got them out because normally you'd shuffle the two bags, but we will show them show what's in them. So they have this like setup bag, and then they have the two agendas. So here's the other new thing: there are two agendas in this scenario, which is really weird. There is some strange, or not strange, there are rules about what happens when you have two agendas. Notably, when you add Doom to the current agenda, you actually choose which agenda to place the Doom on. Doom on cards other than the two agendas counts towards both Doom thresholds of each agenda. And when you advance an agenda, the Doom on the other agenda is still there. However, all other Doom is removed. And finally, when you check Doom threshold, you do things one at a time. So if you reach the Doom threshold of one agenda, you remove all other Doom, you resolve the agenda, you do all the stuff, and then you check if the next one is still about to resolve. Um,
I don't know if I've ever done that before. I think it's obviously very important to have that there, but I can't remember doing that.
Yeah, it's very rare. I mean, obviously there are some circumstances where it could happen.
Hmm.
For example, if you have the Silver Twilight Acolyte enemy and you put Doom on both agendas enough for both of them to advance.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, but it is a very rare occurrence for
But
sure.
you still only put it on to one of the two agendas, right?
Right, but let's say you have him attack you four times in a round.
Oh no.
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah. So let's I don't actually know which version of this is this one, but yes, they should be like this.
Let's find out.
And yeah, so the way to find out is the backs of the two A's and two C's. So in this case, the path to Carcosa is up above because this agenda represents the storm above getting stronger and stronger.
So it's only the last two, right, that show you one way or another?
Correct.
So all of these will be
The
the same each way we do it, right?
Yes, I
Mm,
believe. No, wait, no, sorry. That's agenda 3C. My bad.
it's the second one. Okay.
The second one, yes. Because in fact, one of these agenda 3s won't exist by the time you get to this agenda.
That's correct. Yeah, okay. So
Yes.
what happens is you have these two. Yeah, let's maybe just like go one at a time. So we have these two first, Agenda 1A, Agenda 1C. You flip one, nothing particular happens, but we'll talk about that as they go along.
Mhm.
You go to the second round, and then if you choose to advance the wrong one, it will tell you your objective lies within the other agenda deck. And
Right.
then you need to advance the other one. You get this, remove the remainder of this agenda deck from the game, and you get the set aside Act 3C card.
Correct. So this one will be removed and then set aside. Both of the acts are been set aside, so they will get this one instead,
Mm-hmm.
which is open the path above.
Right, exactly. And the other agenda 3A is still in play. So now it
Correct.
becomes normal. You have an agenda and an act. Although it could be the other way around. The act could be on this side and the agenda is on this side.
Correct. Yeah. So in this other circumstance, you'll see on the back of this card, it's on the other one, and therefore this one will get removed. This one will still be in play, and then we put in the 3, 3, 3, 8. There we go. So that's what it would look like if you chose this one instead.
It's so weird. The little clue icon is on the wrong side.
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
Ah, take one horror.
Yeah.
Um, there's a bunch of other things on the acts and agendas, well, or the dual agendas. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about the kind of agenda situation a little bit more?
Yeah. Let's talk about the agenda stuff.
Okay. So there's a way to place Doom on the agendas to get them to advance a little bit faster. As
Correct.
you said, that you want to get one of them versus the other. So
Mhm.
you can spend clues, and then you get some benefit. If it's agenda C, it's the draw card one. And then the other one is you gain 2 resources. Well, everyone gains 2 resources. So there's little
Very
incentive
nice.
for doing this, but in general, you're like a little maybe wary of doing that at the beginning of the scenario. Like especially if you've played this for the first time, right?
For
You
sure.
have you have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah, like basically, like I mean, you know that one of these is the correct path, but like seemingly you could be putting Doom on the wrong one, and that seems like a very bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think also theoretically, it is possible to soft lock yourself if you do this too much. Notably because in order to get to the Abbey Church, which is how you reveal the other locations, you need to spend 3 per clues as a group. And so if technically, if you spend all of your resources doing this stuff and then jamming all of this, all of these abilities, I believe it's technically possible for you to not have enough clues to get through here if you do that.
Some hot tech here in case you want to end your campaign early.
Correct. Yes, and of course, there's always the easy. Wait, that's not a resign option. I've been
No,
lied to.
no. Oh wait, no. Here you go. Place clues from the token bank here. You cannot
Ah,
soft block yourself out.
I see. Very, very good designers.
Mm-hmm.
Albeit that is a hell of a tax.
Yeah, 2 actions. There has to be Doom on one, and there has to be 2 agenda. Well, I assume there'd be 2 agendas in play at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
I
well,
mean, I guess this does mean like, hey, you put Doom on the wrong one, so put it back. But
true, true. Uh, okay, let's come back to the locations in a bit.
yep.
The other thing is the next time you see well, let's see what's on the other side of these. So
Sure.
if you flip agenda C, then you put a bunch of enemies into the deck. We'll see them in a little bit, but they don't
Mhm.
start in the encounter deck. Then there's a conviction doubt thing. This is on both of them, I believe.
Correct.
So if you were a little skeptical, you didn't put as much, you weren't just like going all on one agenda, then
Yeah.
you mark one doubt because at this point, probably agenda one. So how many is this? This is 5. Right.
Yeah.
So by the time you get here, if you've been sort of splitting your time in between putting Doom on both of them, this is a doubt time to put this here. So,
Correct.
however, if you only have 2 or fewer Doom on the other one, then you mark 1 conviction.
Yes. It's representing you taking your risk, I guess.
Yeah, and the other one says
Yeah.
the same thing. So
Correct.
if, however, the second time you do this, so when you flip the other agenda, basically, the other one agenda, then the other one is not the current agenda. 1C, or in this case, 1A, will not be the current A agenda, so you don't mark any conviction or doubt. So this whole thing is
Yeah.
just a one-time thing for the scenario.
Correct. I honestly, just to be a bit nitpicky, I wish that they put that third bullet point as the first one.
Yeah, you're right.
Because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, it only has 3 in the next one, so we'll put some doubt. But I'm like, oh wait, no, it's agenda 2C right now, not
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
1C. Anyway,
Yeah, very rarely do like we pay attention to the numbers or the letters on the agendas.
yeah,
It matters here, it matters in Threads of Fate, but otherwise it's like, oh, all right, yeah, I guess there's a difference between what number and letter is on these.
yep,
Um, this one puts other monsters into the deck.
indeed. Yeah, they both put monsters in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the next agendas both have a very bad thing that happens when they're existing. Notably, this one's really bad. I mean, it's not really bad, but it is bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the Doom placement is kind of different in the scenario, so it's okay.
That's true, exactly. Like for example, if you know where you're going, then maybe this is a boon, I guess.
Hmm.
Or at least it's not a boon, but it's it means that you don't get your free doom for free.
That's right.
Yeah.
This one, each monster enemy gets +1 fight, is really tough.
That can be pretty tough. Especially if it lingers around. Like if, for example, if you need to go to the path below, then and Swallowed Sky exists.
It will be here
Um,
forever.
correct, and meaning that this guy has you. Or actually, no, wait, that's not what I'm talking about. What's the one with the big fight? There's one
Well,
with a really big fight.
the title terror, I think.
Yeah, yeah, the 4 fight. Yeah, still, that's can be pretty big. And
Spawn
the
of
Spawn of
Holly?
Holly.
Spawn of Holly,
That's
yeah. That one's going to go up to
yes,
5 then.
yep. That'll also go up to 5.
Yeah. Okay, we'll look at those in a bit, but I think I also forget this exists all the time
That's true.
because
Yeah,
it's
that is true.
kind of hidden in the middle of the agenda.
Yep.
Anyway, that's basically it. You then, as we said before, you try to pick the right one, and you'll either end up with, hooray, you did it, or you have to spawn, I think. So if you do the wrong one, you spawn the Beast of Aldebaran. Yeah.
Yep, at the Abbey Tower.
This will probably happen anyway. It might not, but it probably will happen. But
Hmm.
you're hoping to make that happen when you're closer to finishing up rather than have to slog through.
Correct.
And this also gets Ashley. Hopefully she'll be far away by this point. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now let's look at the locations. I think the
Let's
map
do it.
here is interesting. It's big. So you saw that Ashley will spawn here, but that won't happen for a while. You should be long gone by here by then.
Hopefully.
Hmm. So you move here, and there's a really cool like 4 locations that are all connected to each other thing.
Yep. Don't investigate. Not enough. It's basically a shroud 3.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Some easy clues though.
Easy clues. Yeah, and then we got some double versions of these locations. Oops. So let's look at this one first, I guess. I believe they actually both are similar. Yeah. So this one is after one or more doom is placed on the A agenda, each investigator at the outer walls takes a damage because the flooding.
Hmm.
And this one is while the current C agenda has more doom on it than the current A agenda, double the number of skill icons on cards committed to skill tests at the outer wall. AKA, if you are going more towards the skies than the shores, then the flood is not so bad. So you have better skills, I guess.
That's true, but these are not linked to which agenda or act is in play.
Exactly. It's linked to which one has more doom on it, which could be technically your choice as well. But
That's right. So
yep.
it is interesting though. Like this one is a higher shroud. There's only 2 clues. This
Hmm.
one is worse for you to linger at, but
Yep.
it's easier to get clues from, and there's more of them.
Sure. Yep. I believe these are basically the same.
Hmm.
Mess that up. Yeah, it takes a horror this instead, and then this one reduces the difficulty of each skill test at North Power by 1, which is very good actually.
I don't think I usually get this one. I feel like I always get this version with the Doom and uh, horror, but
Yeah,
like I don't remember seeing this one for quite some time.
I know it's hard to tell, but it is very nice. The area has been mapped.
Exactly. That North Tower, we've got a map to it.
Nice. All right, and we got 2 versions of the broken. Oh god, this is the tough one.
Yep.
So this one, let's see. Yeah, after you enter the broken steps, you must either lose an action or draw the topmost omen treachery in the encounter discard pile. So basically, losing an action, I mean, it is bad, obviously, since you have to take an action to move there already.
Hmm.
And drawing the top omen can also be incredibly awful. Um, so for example, you could get a Spires of Carcosa, our friend is back. You could get a Black Star's Rise. You could get an Ancient Evil's Fear of Trouble.
Oh, that's an omen? Wow.
That's an omen. Or of course, we can get World's Merged and Crashing Floods,
No, no.
which I do think at this point, hopefully you're still in Agenda 1s or maybe 2s, but still, that's pretty bad when you draw one of these.
We'll talk about them more later, but there's a lot of nice cards here, those for sure, that link up to like which agenda is in play.
Yep.
So 4 shrouds. So if you end up drawing Black Star's Rise here, that sucks.
That does suck.
Okay, the other
All
one
right.
is also
Yeah, you must
bad.
either it's honestly so this one has I think, an easier choice. Well, maybe not, but you must either discard an asset you control, which is very bad. You just get a free crypt shell.
Mm-hmm.
Or you draw the topmost cultist enemy in the encounter discard pile. So the only cultists in the deck are the Acolytes and the Wizards of the Order and
These
the
guys,
Rift Seekers.
when they show up.
When they show up, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, what has occurred is you've killed an Acolyte, and then you can spawn an Acolyte here, for example. That's like the best case scenario.
Yes, I find this one tricky because, well, it depends on player count too. But like, if you can
Yeah.
engineer it, so cultists are going to accrue doom. Acolytes have to spawn in an empty location, and so do the wizards. So
Yeah.
the tricky part is like, if you send someone here to go kill the wizard, then the next person comes in, and this is a forced effect. It's not when you reveal; it's after you enter.
Yeah.
So you kill this guy, and then you have to like have the next person come in, and then we have new locations that come into play.
Right.
That's
So it's like a
yeah, that's I think the only way that works out if there's two players. If
right.
if there's
I have
more, then it's tougher.
I've played this in 4 player, and yeah, spawning 4 cultists is pretty bad. Basically, in 4 player, if you get this one, someone has to take the chump of just discarding an asset. Um, which like you can definitely play around it. You know, you could play some kind of cheap 1 cost, 0 cost, 2 cost asset. Maybe it was fat, like you just get rid of a magnifying glass, for example.
Hmm.
Um, but it's still pretty bad.
Or you have an empty gun or something.
Yeah, albeit it's so early on that your guns might not be that empty, and also like for example, it's so late in the campaign that you might have your big guns, and I'm like, I don't want to discard these,
Yep, yep.
right?
The other part about it is kind of caution. If you, I imagine in 4 player it's a lot worse, but 3 player, again, we'll put some other locations out here in a second. If you ever have to spawn a cultist and it goes over here, then, or even on here, you have to, if you ever come back here
Yep.
from the Abbey Church and you have to walk through the broken steps again, you're just like in this endless loop of picking up cultists or discarding assets. It's awful.
Basically, once we have decided to go past the broken steps into the Abbey Church, we never go back, no matter what. Even if we spawn cultists over there, just screw it.
Mhm.
Just keep going.
There's one reason why I've had to go back, and we'll talk about it when we look at the tokens, but you're right.
Mm. All right. So those are our broken steps. Let's get rid of this one. And yeah, as I said before, you need 3 per clues as a group to enter the Abbey Church. And once you do, you get to put into play the rest of the locations. So notably, there are also 2 versions of Carcosa, which are kind of up here. And then I'll put the rest in. So the Abbey Tower is up here, and then the chapel is like over here.
I love that TTS has these automatic connections now.
I know. Yeah, they're so good.
Before it was just like, have to read all the icons. Anyway, yeah, there's 2 of these.
Yep. And I believe they're both very similar. They can either heal 2 damage or 2 horror by putting a doom on either the A or the C agenda.
Cool.
That can actually be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Albeit you can only do once.
True.
Yep. All right. Now to the more interesting stuff. So let's go to the cloister and the Knight's Hall.
Mm-hmm. Knight's Hall first.
Sure. So yeah, if there are no clues here, you can investigate using your agility instead of your intellect. You must do that. And if you succeed, instead of discovering clues, you have found the tower key. So this is a very interesting thing that has occurred because I feel like they wouldn't do this nowadays. But because it says, I believe this is the case, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it says, remember that you have found the tower key, and because the Abbey Tower specifically says you cannot enter the Abbey Tower unless you have found the tower key, if someone else hasn't found the tower key, they cannot enter because only you have found it. That is correct?
I think that's true, and it's probably something I've ignored.
Yes, I agree. It's definitely, I don't think it was their intention, and definitely nowadays they would say, remember that the investigators have found the tower key, and this would say if the investigators have found the tower key, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like rules as written with the whole you stuff. It's like a little annoying, but yeah, just to let you know that is technically a thing.
Let me ask you, like, why do you think this is an investigate?
Because they didn't lockpicks. I don't know, because they didn't have the the pickpocket skill, which is an
Yeah,
evade.
yeah,
So
I guess
maybe it should have
so.
been an evade.
I mean, they could have just said test agility, right?
That's true. I guess investigate so you could have your. I was about to say mag glass, but that doesn't work.
No.
Um, what would help here?
I mean, nowadays pocket multi-tool would help.
Yes, of course. Ice picks would help
Mm-hmm.
skill value. Um, but yeah, I guess it's flavor maybe.
Yeah, it definitely flavor, but it is interesting that it's an investigate. I mean, you could do this with Ursula, I guess, moving here,
That's true. That is true.
but it's still a little awkward. Anyway, I'm not sure they would do that again today either.
Yeah. However, this one is pretty nice. So you can parlay, test the real power. Remember that you found a guide. So
Ooh,
good job, Alessandra.
Alessandra, right?
Yep. And does she have good willpower? She does, right?
She's got 3.
Yeah, okay. Free action though.
Mm-hmm.
Also fine clothes. Of course.
And definitely fine clothes. Okay.
Yes.
And whatever that other new card is that lets you take a parlay. No, that's an
Gosh,
event. That's an
I don't
event
even
with
remember.
parlay on it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And so yeah, you found a guide. That's what you need in order to enter the chapel of Saint Aubert. Speaking of, shall we? I guess I missed some text here. This is the Abbey Church has victory, and it also has the text. Well, there are 2 agendas in play with different agenda numbers. It gets +2 shroud. So it's good to be kind of doubtful when you're here, I guess.
mm-hmm. If you get there pretty early, it's helpful. You can just clear it off.
That's true. That is true. Albeit, if there's a Spires or Carcosa there later on, that can also be pretty bad.
That is tough. So you don't actually
All right.
need clues at this point. So the only thing you need clues for is getting the guide or the
Right.
the Knight's Hall. So
Yep.
the rest of the clues are just kind of here.
Yep, they are just there because why not?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about the actually, let's see. I forgot. We have to go over the path above. So this is the bad one. So shall we do the bad one first?
Yeah.
All right. Water's forbidden. It's not here. So okay, that's the thing. I think. I mean, I figured it out, but some of my friends who were playing with me were like, I think we technically had the other one, and they were like, we still don't know which one it is. And then we're like, and I'm like, no, I mean, it's clearly like, Haster is saying that he's laughing that you're down here, so it's not this one.
Yeah.
I think.
What's funny is that there's no I mean, you got 2 agendas, so there's no objective in play. So you don't really know what you're supposed to do. You're
Right.
just kind of, I mean, the flavor text tells you something about like opening one way or another. So it sort of tells you what you're supposed to do, but there isn't just like, go somewhere and do something. You just have to figure out how to advance.
Yeah. You have to figure out that you need to advance the 2C agenda, basically,
Yes, exactly.
because that's where you want to go.
If so, you have no choice but to beckon the entity closer. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Lots of victory here, though, and a lot of clues.
There is lots of victory. Indeed. Yeah, if you can snap that 2 victory, that is good. And as well, the Beast of Aldebaran will spawn there. No, it will spawn actually over there.
It goes to the, yeah. So
It goes to the one that you want to go to?
yeah,
Is that right?
it goes to the Abbey Tower. Goes to the one you want to go to. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So it's on the way. So, I mean, yeah, Victory 1 is nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Here is the other version. Or actually, I guess we'll do the matching set first.
Yeah. Okay, this
So
one's
you
fun.
can only. This one is fun. Yeah, you can only discover clues if you have no cards in hand, and you can take an action to discard 3 cards from your hand. Very interesting.
It is. So you can commit cards.
Yes.
If you commit a perception, you're allowed to discover clues and then draw the card from perception.
Correct. Just don't trigger Lucky Cigarette Case.
Nope.
For the love of God.
Can't
Because
do
that
that.
happens before this.
Yep.
I mean, you could. It's just you wouldn't get any clues.
Yeah, I like this. I think that's a really cool,
Yeah, this one is definitely cool.
I like the other one too, but
The other one's harder. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think a little bit about how to pull it off, but
Yeah. Speaking of the other one, let's
so right,
show the other 2.
So this is the matching set, and then we're going to show the other matching set.
Yes.
So this
is the bad one.
The bad one. It's exactly the same. 2 shroud.
Exactly the same.
Lots of clues.
Yep. And this one, so you can only discover clues if you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity, and you can, as an action, take up to 3 horror. So the reason why this is harder is because having 0 cards in your hand doesn't mean that you're about to die.
Yep.
Whereas this one means you're about to die.
So last time I played this, of course, I was playing as Calvin. Not a
Oh,
problem.
nice. Not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah, no, it's tough where you're like, oh, I'm Mark Harrigan, and then I'm like, oh no, not Mark Harrigan. Whatever. I don't know why I'm getting clues as Mark Harrigan, but someone who has somewhat low, like Joe Diamond, for example.
Mhm.
He's like, oh, okay, I'm going to take 3 horror, and then I'm like, oh god, here's a Black Stars Rise, take some more. Like takes here's a World's Merge, takes even more. Just kill yourself.
Yeah, you have to be like, we're going this round, basically.
Yeah.
We have the, took the horror, just go for it and end it. Otherwise, you're right.
Yeah.
Very dangerous. Okay, so
I think that's all of the locations.
that's all location, and that's basically what you're doing. You're moving through and just opening up locations until you can advance the right agenda. Now, I think it's pretty. There's a lot of Doom that you can afford to put on the agenda, so I think there's
Yes.
a lot of time here, really, which is something I
Yeah.
want to bring up before we talk about the encounter cards. So, like, getting through all the agendas, like, if you weren't adding any extra for any reason, this is 5 on this side, another 5, like, that's already 10 rounds.
Yeah. Theoretically, it's a total of 30 Doom.
Oh my God.
Albeit, of course, you have your Ancient Evils, which does add some. You have your Spires of Carcosa. So notably, the Spires is worse in this one since it contributes to both agendas, which I guess is technically both good and bad, since one of them you like.
Yeah,
And
let's talk about the encounter cards one at a time. Just sort of
sure.
keeping in mind that there's a strange thing with Doom here, where there does appear, at least to me, to be a lot of time if you're being a little prudent.
For sure.
Okay, so these guys will shuffle into the encounter deck after you flip the first agendas.
Correct. So yeah, the Tide Rises puts in the Tidal Terrors. So
Right, and notably, when you draw them, they spawn far away.
correct.
Why doesn't
Yeah.
it say whichever is closer?
Because they didn't think about that yet.
I guess not. Like, you always put it back here at the Porte de la Masse. Like, there's no reason to put them close.
Yeah, I don't think ever to do that.
Yeah, but he'll plod along and catch up to you eventually.
Yep.
And then these guys do spawn engage with you, so that's a little tougher.
Correct.
Monster, Byaki, and Cultist. That's actually, all 3 of those are important in this scenario.
Correct. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. You must either take additional damage or additional horror or place the Doom on each agenda in play. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Just kill him.
Yeah, just kill him. The 3 damage enemy, which at this point should not be a huge issue. Hopefully.
What do you think about the parlay?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done the parlay. And I mean it's nice and it doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity, I guess.
I think
but taking 2 horror is pretty bad.
that's the part that I'm like, I mean, if you're getting desperate or you don't really care about the horror, I guess it's cool. I mean, saving you whatever bullets or charges or a spectral razor or something. But I think it's very dangerous to try to do that.
Yeah, horror. I mean, any kind of damage in this scenario can be very, very bad because of World's Merge and Crashing Floods, which we will get to in just a second. That those can just absolutely kill you instantly.
So the cultist part of this is, you see the yellow guy right there? That's the cultist.
That's the cultist. He's riding on the Byaki. And honestly, grabbing this as a cultist is not that bad because he just doesn't add Doom.
Yep.
So just kill him.
Yeah, I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
the other scenario-specific cards are indeed World's Merge, Crashing Floods. Wow.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I don't know if you were watching, but Playing Board Games, Justin from Playing Board Games, he just recently put out his tier list, or sorry, his bracket battle for the Path to Carcosa Treacheries. And I believe Crashing Floods won the entire thing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he played, I remember watching him play, I think it was Dexter and Jim, and they died because of this card.
Shit. Yeah.
So here's the thing with these cards. Like, as you're reading, like, they scale up with the scenario, right? And I mean, Crashing Floods is way worse. Like, losing actions is worse than the other one, which is discarding cards.
Yes.
And It is not that easy to pass this test when you're at the
Yeah,
end of your wits, basically.
not only is it worse, but more likely you are going to be worse at agility than willpower, especially at this stage of the game, or I should say, at this stage of this game's life cycle. Um,
Even just in the campaign itself, there's so many other willpower tests.
yes, exactly. And the sort of horror dealing has been a kind of theme across this entire campaign. So maybe you're ready to deal with something like World's Merge that you take a lot of horror, but taking 3 damage is terrible.
Okay, so I will say one thing. If you are like grinding out the scenario and you do get to agenda, 3 or act 3 for that matter, because it's either one,
Mhm.
and you will get to, hopefully, you'll get to act 3. Um, I think you just have to get through as quickly as you can. You can't wait to draw this multiple times. There's no way. I think the like agenda 1 or agenda 2 is okay. Like those are you should be able to deal with those. The 2 actions is bad, but the taking 2 damage or 2 horror is pretty par for the course, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I think so. For World's Merge, I would accept Agenda 1 and 2, and for Crashing Floods, I would accept Agenda 1. Basically, that's kind of how my thinking goes because losing 2 actions could be so bad.
It's really bad.
Um, yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, God. Agenda 3A just like you do not have a turn. Goodbye.
yeah, I think this is just here so you don't try to grind this one out too much because it could be. I mean, I find this scenario to not be that hard because of how much time there is, and this
That's
is
true.
here to make sure that you are not just screwing around the whole time and
Yeah.
trying to put all of your money on your embezzled treasure or something.
Yeah. I think ultimately my only issue with these cards is that because the investigators are slightly predisposed to more likely pass the willpower test than the agility ones, it kind of makes it so that the punishment for failing the willpower test should like be worse than the punishment for failing the agility test because you're more likely going to fail the agility test if that makes sense. So it's like would like for me, Worlds Merge is so much less difficult than Crashing Floods, and but it's easier to pass if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just really strange to me that they equated losing 3 actions with discarding 3 cards. That's
Right,
weird.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like damage and horror, I get that like in this campaign they're not exactly equivalent either, but the other part is also not even close.
Yeah, yeah. I
um,
honestly don't even know.
yeah.
I honestly don't even know how I would fix these cards because they're so like not they're not bad. I don't think they're badly designed, but they're so impactful that
Hmm.
it's like it's hard to want to replace Crashing Floods with something else because you're right. Like it's so like just seeing the 3 damage and 3 actions, you're like, oh fuck, we need to go. And like it, if anything, it invokes the correct experience, as you said. So
So there's also 3 of them, but
that's true.
but there are a lot of encounter cards in the deck. So honestly, I mean, as scary as these are, you can start discarding them with nope, not this one. I guess it was the other one that makes you discard
Oh
cards.
yeah, that's revealed. Yeah.
Yeah. Nope, I guess you're drawing through all of them unless you have to
Yep.
reshuffle the deck.
Yep.
I don't know, taking counter deck manipulation or protection, like that's yeah, again, I most recently played this team with Calvin, um, Harvey, and Zoe, and neither of these had any impact.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think we drew them, but not that many times. And if we drew them, it was during the first couple agendas, and that was it. So they are scary, but you know, bring a ward of protection. Have someone
Indeed.
uh, deal with this kind of problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, that it's iconic though, and I think it's legit for a penultimate scenario. One that, by the way, what kind of why we're talking about this so much is that if you fail this scenario, campaign over.
Yep. Like where Doom awaits, this can be your last scenario.
Yeah. Okay, so we've already seen these guys before, but I do think they're worth talking about again. So Twisted to His Will, I don't particularly care for cards that make you discard cards from your hand. I like my cards.
Yeah.
I need them.
What's
And
the highest you've gotten this in play?
yeah,
I'm
so
curious.
amount of Doom in play counts everything, including both agendas. So probably like 10 or something. I can't remember
Yep,
exactly.
I've gotten like 10 or 11, I think. Yeah.
hmm And you're like, well, you're just gonna fail.
It's just gonna fail. Again, it is nice that it does not scale by how much you fail by. Thank goodness.
Yep. It's tough though. Like you're if you had a plan to play the only two cards that are in your hand, nope. But
Nope.
I think Carcosa really does benefit from having some encounter card protection. Just like going at it without anything is tough.
For sure.
Okay, Black Stars Rise. I think this does nothing here because putting one Doom on either agenda is fine.
Exactly. So yeah, this one is either one or the other. So yeah, it's on the current agenda, which means that you could choose, which in some circumstances means it's a pure benefit actually. Um, which is interesting. Yeah, I basically agree. It's like in this scenario, I would rarely ever take the horror unless maybe I like failed by one. And if I didn't know which way we were going, like if we do know, then we're like, thanks, game, I guess.
Right. Um, that said, there are a couple of high difficult tests in the encounter deck. This one, even the three agility, I think is tough. So when we get to the tokens, we'll talk about why that this is not just draw your token and be done, but
That is
uh,
true.
I mean it's still softer than most everything else in this set.
Yep.
Okay, I actually think Spires of Carcosa is fine here because you can let it pop.
Yes, I agree. And once again, since the Doom counts towards both agendas, you can actually get into a circumstance where drawing the spires and letting it go will allow you to choose which agenda you want to advance. And the trick about that is then you basically have like a mini witching hour where you put Doom on the agenda you want during the Mythos phase that you want to advance because you're already about to advance it anyway. Um, so it's a very interesting like kind of change there.
Yeah. So if it does end up on a location where you feel like you can clear it off, okay. If it's going out of your way, don't bother.
Yep.
So I kind of like it here. Again, we've talked about this card a few times already, and in scenario one, I think it can be tough because you are maybe not as powered up as you are at this point too,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not want it to advance because you're losing out on some time. But on the other hand, you can always respawn the Beast of Aldebaran, just kill him again, except for the return too. But
Right.
that's that one. In scenario five, Phantom of Truth, it sort of depends on which version you're doing, but it is,
Yeah.
I think that's where it's the toughest.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's kind of just okay in this one.
hmm So like when I have my final analysis of this one, like should it have been a take any investigate action? I see why they didn't because of the scenarios where it shows up in.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think that once again, I do think that if this card was designed today, it would be a reaction off of successfully investigating. But also, I think that they would have to bump it up a little bit. Like, put it on a location that highest shroud, for
Yes,
example.
yes.
Um, or like location farthest from you, for example. Um, I think that that is a way that they could balance it so that anyone could investigate it and then still get it off while it's still being a challenge. But I think in this incarnation, it is kind of right for where it is because of the scenarios that it's in. I think for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's often to me very tough to talk about the encounter cards without thinking about the scenarios because they're built
Yeah.
around where they appear. So,
Yeah.
Twisted to His Will, is in, well, those same three scenarios.
Mhm.
Um, but only in this one is it, you know, likely to be a fail, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the other ones are probably okay.
Yeah. And yeah, and like again, looking at Spires of Carcosa in a vacuum, it looks bad. For example, like if Spires of Carcosa was in the Unspeakable Oath, then you'd be like, "This is the worst card in the world."
Oh my God, that would be
But
horrible.
it's not. Yeah, I know, right? Like, what if that was actually the case? Um,
And it makes
but it's
sense
not.
that these are the three scenarios that you're dealing with Doom. I mean, I guess the Echoes of the Past has Doom in a special way too, but it wouldn't have
Yeah,
shown up there. But
yeah,
they have these packages. We'll see the Dark Cult and Ancient Evils together in a second. But there is a Doom theme here. So
I agree.
Byakis,
Byaku's, yeah, they're all right.
yeah, I think they're just here because of the Cultist Byaki, adding another thing that you could reveal from the deck.
Correct. Albeit there are also a lot of omens, so more likely to trigger that horror.
That's true. Another tough test. 6 agility.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I don't like
Spawn of
this guy,
Ali.
man. This time,
I'm just I'm just sad he doesn't have victory.
I know. This
Seems like he
time
would.
he's actually in the encounter deck from the beginning, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Last time we saw him, he was a monster that was set aside in the Unspeakable Oath.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Well, yikes. If you can't
Yikes.
evade, you better make sure you pass the test. And that +1 fight for monsters, wow.
Yep. Yep. And 4 health is not nothing. And also retaliate is not nothing.
Exactly, yeah. That's why you have to
Yeah.
figure out a way to pass the test. Well,
Yep.
I mean, if you're trying to get down to 3 or fewer remaining sanity, this guy will do the trick.
I guess so.
And then we already talked about the beast showing up. I think this is just a mini boss, which is fine for the scenario.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I maybe I'm just not a grindy player, but I rarely see the beast because a lot of times I finish the scenario before it gets to a third agenda.
Mm.
Um, and so it's kind of weird where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna wait so I can get an extra victory. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe it should have showed up somewhere else, or maybe the scenario shouldn't have had this much doom. But maybe it's whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay, we also have the Man of the Pal mask stuff, so go
yeah, he's
find him.
back. Yeah, I guess he came back with us to the catacombs. So
That's right. I think this map being pretty big makes this a little tough too. So if you do want to go kill him and you have to go back through the steps,
agreed.
uh,
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
I think it's like so. hmm, It's only like 1, 2, 3 away, so I think it's theoretically possible if you're in the Knight's Hall. 1, 2, 3 could also put him into the tower.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. One,
Yeah.
two, three, 4. Yep, nope. He's always
Yeah.
going back here.
Yeah. The only way to not do it is if you're in Broken Steps, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. You'd have to spawn him here, specifically, actually.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, then there's Marked by the Sign.
Yeah, and I think because of the fact that more often than not, this guy shows up down here or whatever, this might be active more often than not.
This is a scary encounter card.
Yeah, 2 direct horror is pretty bad.
And difficulty 4, more
Yeah.
often than not.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. We got some cultists, which get some more doom.
Yep.
So the mysterious chanting here can make going after these cultists a thing. If they spawn over here, hopefully that they don't, but you have to go get them.
Yeah.
I found,
Also,
yeah, this is also a cultist, so it could just put 2. You could find him, or you can go put 2 doom on this guy if he's already in play.
yeah. And, if fair trade, I guess you could, if there's already Doom on this guy, you could put 2 more and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to take the parlay and just forget about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That is an option.
So what do you think about Ancient Evils being in this scenario?
So, I think as we've said before, normally having Ancient Evils coupled with the cultist set is pretty rough. But I think that because you can choose which agenda to put it on, it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, I haven't played this in 4-player before, but I think you're also less likely to get the whole combo at once just because the encounter set I think is or deck is fairly big.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's here, so you have to be wary of the cultist trying to accelerate the ritual.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that brings me to the scenario reference card.
Yeah. Oh, we also, by the way, we also get another. We get a -5.
We get a -5 on standard. Yep.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, let's do this. I'm remembering that these are pretty bad.
Yeah, they are. So the skulls will have 3 of, and that can be a large number, like a pretty
It can
large
be
number.
very large. Yep.
Thankfully, it's on any agenda, not on all the agendas. That is
Correct.
on the other side.
Oh Jesus.
Okay.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So cultist, do you remember what we how we get the cultist?
Cultist is if you succeeded. Oh, that's right. So if you succeeded the previous scenario by oh god,
Conviction?
conviction. Is that the one we have to run back to the gate to hell?
Probably. That's the one where the
Then
tomb is or the catacombs are falling apart.
correct. Wait. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Anyway.
Okay, reveal another token. If this token is revealed during an attack or evasion attempt against an enemy with Doom on it, this skill
Oh
test
fuck.
automatically fails.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Maybe not before, but like that's bad.
That is bad. Thankfully, it shouldn't be too many, but if you pull one of the cultists and you need to kill them, hmm.
Wow.
Is this how you get the cultist?
I believe so.
Yeah, I guess so. Each investigator is defeated gives you the uh,
The elder thing,
elder
yeah.
thing. Okay, let's look at that one. That one is just -2 if you fail, then you get a Byakuya. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
There aren't too
Yeah.
many of them.
Yeah.
Okay, the tablet
Yeah.
is the one that I've seen the most.
Correct. Because that's the one where I normally go, where you have to go to the hard wait,
Block passage.
passage. Locked passage, right?
Hmm.
I think so, right? Yeah. And I mean you're right. That can be bad. Do one each.
Yeah. Have you ever done this where you've drawn two cultists and then,
No, I have
sorry,
not. But
two tablets and then fail?
that seems awesome.
It has happened to me, and you're like, well, two doom on each agenda, and maybe it was on a Black Stars Rise or something.
Wow. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, that's the only reason I brought up the high difficulty of these tests on the encounter cards because
Right.
that token is there, and you're like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to fail a 6 agility test. What's the worst that could happen? Well, you do this too many times. The amount of doom on the agendas, uh, while we said is like, big deal. There's so much doom that you could put. It can add up.
That is true. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Um, that's it for the cards. What are the resolutions?
Basically, but depending on whether or not you had to go up or down, you mark something in your campaign log. You either open the path below or above. If you open below, you get 2 cultists and 2 tablets. If you open above, you get 2 cultists and 2 elder things. So you're always going to need cultists. And of course, if no resolution was reached, aka everyone died, uh, it's over.
You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? We forgot to talk about Ashley.
Oh yeah, I feel like she rarely matters.
Yeah.
I like literally if you're at the time where the third agenda has flipped, sorry, the second agenda has flipped and she spawns over there and you're not about to win, you're probably about to lose.
When the second agenda, oh yeah, because you've already gone through the other agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, even so, I've had her spawn before, and she's just over here and slowly, like it's gonna be another 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4, or maybe 5 rounds before she gets to you.
And I think of all of the party guests, she's probably the easiest.
Two fight, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 3 fights, right? But still.
She's a monster. You're right.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Um, I think this is a really good set of encounter cards together, though. It's good for a seventh scenario. Like these should be scary.
Yeah, for sure.
That said, I've never lost this one. Have you?
No.
I don't want to like, you know, taunt the the elder gods here, but
Yeah.
there's a if you know what you're doing, which should happen after you play this once or twice,
Hmm.
and it is fairly easy to telegraph this. Like you look at the one location, it says not here,
Yep.
and then you just go to the other one.
Yep.
But I've not had a problem getting the clues off of that location most of the time.
Yeah, honestly, the real issue is when, for example, it's the other one, right? It's this one. No, sorry, it's this one. and you're like, oh dang it, now we have to go all the way back to get the 2 victory.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. Let's go talk about some ratings then, I guess.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we are talking about replayability. This one's a little strange because there is a second version of this, but it's not really a second version in my opinion. It's just the same thing but different.
I agree. It's the same thing but different. You have no control. Obviously, it is different, and things will change. For example, there is no Agenda 3A, for example, if you go one route. There's no Agenda 3C if you go one route. So that might affect some encounter cards. Worlds Merge and Crashing Floods.
That's right.
Um,
No,
but
actually
yeah,
that one
like
is the same, right? Either way, right? It's Act 1 or Agenda or Act 3 or Agenda 3.
oh, correct. My bad. I did not actually read that. So you're right. I redact my statement. Anyway, I think you're right. It basically plays the same, and you basically treat it like until the very end, you treat the scenario exactly the same until you know what's going on. And that is a large portion of the scenario. So
Yep.
yeah.
Is there more to
Uh
enjoy upon on a second or third playthrough? I mean, I like the scenario itself, but I'm not sure. I mean, again, there's the different locations as well. I'm
yeah.
not sure I'm exploring things differently or figuring out a different way that the scenario works on a second time.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not sure that there's a lot to sort of see on repeat playthroughs at least. If it plays about the same pretty much.
I will say, like, the first time you play it, though, if you're very confused because it's your first playthrough, it
Yeah.
will play differently just because you understand the gimmick this time.
For sure. Yeah. All right. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'll give it a, I'll give it a 2.5. I think that there's enough variability in like the locations and of course the actual randomness of which version you're getting for it to be a little interesting. But ultimately, it's mostly the same.
I'm right where there with you. I was going to say the same thing.
Excellent.
Moving on to fairness. Hmm.
Huh. So okay, here's my take on fairness. I think that the players have tons of agency in this scenario. Um, Specifically because you get to choose where to put the doom when the agenda uh, has doom put on it, and also for things like Black Star's Rise and for Ancient Evils. And while like something like the randomness of which version you get might introduce, random elements, I don't think that they actually matter too much. Like it's not like they're so random that it completely affects what you're doing. Rather, you determine what's going on and you're like, okay, now let's do this thing instead of this other thing. Um,
It's
that
fun.
being said, sorry, go ahead.
It's funny you brought up the whole like, oh no, we got to the one that was the right location first. We have to go back and get the victory because that's how I
Yeah,
feel too. The randomness here is not like, hooray, we found the location first. It's more
right.
of a, well, this time we found it first, and now we have to go back to the other one anyway.
Exactly. Like, yeah, as opposed to, for example, the uh, Pallid Mask, where it's like, oh, we found the good one, right? Which is
Exactly.
always fun.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think that there is some points to knock off because about the pressure. Because as you say, I think that this scenario is a little easy, especially on repeat playthroughs where you can kind of know what's going on. There's way too much Doom in play, I think. Um, and I think that, the reason that there's so much Doom, one, because if you fail, it's over. So you need to have a little bit of leeway. And two, because, if you go ham on a single agenda and you determine that that's the wrong one, you need to be like, oh god, we need to recover and go the other way. Um, but yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Where Doom awaits, the similar scenario, right? There's so much Doom in that one.
Yeah,
It sometimes matters. So it's nice to have a little bit of a failsafe for you just, feeling like you get screwed out of the game unfairly. But I wonder, I don't know what they could have done to make this a little bit better. Like maybe you have to accelerate if you didn't have, if you found the right one. I don't know. Something
yeah.
where it slingshots you to where they kind of want you to be when you're at the end of the scenario.
I could see it where, let's say you determine that, like, let's say you flip over the correct agenda 2, that would require you to flip the other agenda immediately. For example,
Yeah,
like that could be a way to do it. I think.
that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, in terms of fairness, I do think that there's a lot of decisions for the players. It's there are random elements, but there's not. They don't really do a lot. But there is this sort of lack of pressure. I think I'm going to put it at a 3.5.
You're stealing my numbers.
Hey, do
I
you want
mean,
to go first on the next one?
yeah, I'll go first on the next one. I mean,
All
we
right.
we have kind of said the basic ideas similarly, so I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Ooh, this one's more interesting.
I agree.
Hmm. Okay, so I do think that for the most part, other than a couple of tests that are like use your agility or the parlay, you can do whatever you want here, and that's been true of most of Carcosa, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's very balanced in that respect. There is the spires thing. There's the tough encounter cards that are using agility as well.
Yeah.
That's not, but they're not like game enders, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. Like once again, the high foot test, it doesn't really do anything except for crashing floods. Let's not forget about
Hmm.
that. um Black Stars Rise, it's a high book test. Doesn't really do something. Maybe it even helps you. Um so yeah, I don't think that any one stat is really kind of overly pressured. Um yeah.
What do you think about the different Doom investigators here? I haven't really thought about this, but I think you're still okay. You don't have to feel like you're protecting your, I don't know, David Renfield or anything.
That's
Maybe
a good question.
maybe it's even better because you have more time to, I
True.
mean, so you have more like witching hours, right? Because you're flipping probably at least 3 or 4 agendas.
That's true. That is true. That is actually very true. Yeah, like you could David Renfield towards the good agenda, for example.
Hmm.
Or you could
Or you just
you
get
could
rid of them and then you have another chance, right? Because you're flipping
right.
agendas a bunch of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Um yeah. Yeah, I've never actually played any of the Doom Investigators in the scenario, so that would be an interesting thing to test.
I think it still works fine. I think you still use your same tools and
Yep.
that's okay. Hmm. I don't know. Okay, I guess I have to give this a number here. Um, I think it hits everyone fairly too, right? I mean, no one has good stats for everything. Mystics
Yeah.
are probably in a better spot because they can deal with the encounter cards in other ways.
Yep.
So, I don't really see anything here too objectionable. I'm going to go with a 4.
Yeah, I think I'll go for a 4.5. I think that there are a lot of things that a lot of different investigators can do, mostly because nearing that end point, you don't need clues. I mean, you need clues off of the locations, but you don't need to stockpile a bunch, for example. And there's actually some pretty low shrouds as well,
Hmm.
like a lot of two shrouds on the places where you get the key in the tower guide, as well as those tests, the willpower and agility tests for other people to be like, oh yeah, I need some help getting the tower guide. So Kaimani, investigate. Whereas normally they wouldn't be able to do so. Or Rita, for example, right?
Right.
Either of them.
Yeah, I think
So
everyone
yeah,
can pitch in for sure. You're right.
yeah, yeah.
All right, last one, the experience. Um,
Experience.
this is an interesting one too because the gameplay loop is different because you're managing Doom in yet a different way this entire campaign.
Yes.
I've been so resistant to using the triggered abilities on the agendas to advance the Doom.
Yeah. Unless you know exactly which one you're doing.
Yeah, I mean you can do it. It's once per round, but I don't know. Like I think they really wanted you to do it more than people actually probably do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like as far as gameplay loop comes, I do think it's interesting. Like, I mean, having two different agendas is a
Hmm.
very unique aspect of the scenario, and I don't they have not done this since, correct?
That's right.
I'm trying to remember like some weird scenario and Scarlet Keys did it for example, but no, they did not.
They do
Um,
multiple acts
of course,
in the next campaign, but you're right.
yes. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it is new. I also think so. I have like a very cool connection with or not connection, but love of the setting that the scenario is in, Mont Saint Michel. I
Hmm.
think that it is a very like if I were like I'm trying to recall this because I feel like the setting of Mont Saint Michel. I don't think it was in the original story. Am I correct on that?
I don't know.
Um,
Hmm.
it feels something that was created for this scenario, or not created, but used in this scenario. And I think it's honestly genius. Like having the whole above or below thing. Mont Saint Michel is known for its tides and the troubles that occur during that.
Hmm.
And it's an excellent setting because of the fact that it's so isolated, and so you really get this sense of like danger and stuff like that. I do think that some of the locations are kind of just like, hey, we're interacting with the Doom mechanic and not really flavorful, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Notably the ones at the start. Um, so those kind of lose marks. But like I really like the setting in this one, and I really like how they incorporated it into the scenario.
So I think that the cultist set being here too, again, the Doom makes sense from the mechanical standpoint, but this whole idea that there's a above or below, and you don't know which one is the one that you're trying to help the agenda along is super cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That it's fun. I agree
Yeah.
with the flood being palpable here too.
Hmm.
Crashing floods makes that is something that I can see in the art. I can see as part of the encounter sets. And it's good. I agree that the setting is probably one of the best ones uh, for the campaign, really.
Yep.
Other than the catacombs, that was also really good.
That was also very good. All right. So why don't you give your rating first?
Sure. I'm gonna go with a 4. I think it's
I
really good.
will. Yeah, I will agree with the 4 as well.
Sweet. All right, we have done our discussion of this scenario in its entirety, except for the return to, which will be probably not too much discussion. So if you haven't played that one, go play it. Come back and listen to us later. Otherwise, we'll see you for the finale, Dim Carcosa. So this one has very few changes, which I think is good. We have
Yes.
2 new versions of some locations, right? Or just one new
Cor-
location.
Correct. So, yeah. So previously we had the cloister and the Knight's Hall. So now there is an additional version of each of them, and importantly, you don't independently randomly choose between them. You choose them as a set.
Hmm.
Um, so here let's talk about Knight's Hall. So in this one, in order to find a guide, it's in the Knight's Hall this time.
Mm,
um, right?
yep, yep.
Yep. And you need to punch someone. But that's always what I've thought. It's because of the fist test.
Well, some flavor text this time, right? What was on the other one?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they didn't really have flavor. They just like pick someone's
No, the
something
cloister
or.
did.
Oh, yeah, the cloister did exactly.
Yeah. So this one, the old one was a lone monk that you're trying to talk to, and then this
Yes.
one is you hear pounding on a door. So there's a Abbey monk is trying to get out. I looked at this as the locked door.
Ah, okay, okay, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you let them in, and then they also help you up. Yeah.
Yeah. They are the guide.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is a parlay that is willpower or intellect.
Right. So I guess it's kind of like you're convincing them to give you the keys, maybe.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
same lone monk, but he's got
Oh
keys.
yeah. He has keys this time.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Basically, that's just to randomize which one is which. Because I'm sure that previously when people would go and we're like, okay, we need to go up here, so let's just go here, and then we need to go right now. But now that you don't know which one it is, so
Okay. And then we have some new encounter cards. We've got one copy of Haster's Grasp,
yeah,
a hidden card. We didn't have any hidden cards before in this scenario.
correct.
This is just kind of cool because you can start to tell your teammates to do something that's a little bit strange. Like,
That is
nah,
true.
don't put Doom on that agenda. Put it on the other one.
Yep. Um, I obviously, if you get this card in the third, like when you're at the third, when you're only have one agenda left,
Hmm.
um, this will just happen. or will never happen.
Or will never
Right?
happen. You're right.
Correct. Um,
Oh, can you not do the thing if you have this stuck in your hand?
can you not do the? Huh?
Yeah, the one where you can't discover clues unless you have no cards in your hand.
Yes, that's right. That is what the problem with this card is. That's true.
Or is it the other agenda? Did they link it to the right agenda?
It doesn't
Or it doesn't
matter,
matter
right?
because there's
Because
another one. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So maybe you're just fucked.
Oops.
Oops.
Well, anyway, this one is the same thing.
Yep.
Cool art, though.
Very cool art. Yeah, love it.
Hmm. Then we have strangely delusory evils here replacing ancient evils, which you've seen this one before. It's, it is what it is. It's really easy to get rid of. However, you're getting rid of it when you don't want to. The weird part about this is that on the, yeah, you're bringing it out.
Oh,
No,
no,
it's
wrong
the
one.
other one.
Fuck. There it is.
Each copy of Ancient Evils gains Surge. Well, this isn't
Not
Ancient
ancient
Evils.
evils. They definitely should have written this on here. That's like when ancient evils would gain surge, loser evils it doesn't. Whatever.
Well, the problem
Um,
is that if it did, then you'd know what the card was that someone drew.
true. Yeah. I don't know if they've ever had hidden cards that have surge. There are some examples in like some custom campaigns that I recall, but
It would be
yeah, I don't
fine
know
if
how
they
you would deal
said
with
if
that.
you drew a hidden card, it gains Surge. But in this case, it would only be Delusory Evils, and then you'd
Yeah.
know it's not one of these two.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my feeling there. There's an FAQ that says something about like if a card refers to some card that's not in the return to, then it should be its analogous version, but
Really?
not in this case.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
look at the number of the card or something.
Yeah.
I forget exactly how it is defined, but in particular they call out this one as not this one.
Okay.
Well, I think it's why, right? Because it can't gain surge. It would just be telling everyone what you drew.
I guess that's true. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think we've ever had an example of hidden surge, so I don't even know how they would deal with that.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that being said, I would still take this as ancient evils.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, yeah. I
So,
agree. Like this one, you can totally just take the doom and say whatever.
yeah.
I mean, again, the succeeding by a skill test by 3 or more, like sometimes that's just one action you lose, but in this case, who cares? Just take the doom.
Yep.
Especially because if you hold on to this too long, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
There's that too. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just bringing this up that the interaction between these ones. I know
Yeah.
we mentioned it. I just want to clarify it.
But even this too, right?
Yes, that also is true. Albeit at least this one you can get rid of.
You could get rid of it. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. Well, um, I mean, I think the return to is fine. Just adding a little bit of variety. Whoopsie with this, but
Yeah.
what do you think of the return to?
Yeah, it doesn't really do a lot, honestly. Like it just adds some variety. As you said, I do like if played correctly. I do like these hidden cards just because they are, as you said, kind of lead to weird behavior, which is always the goal of hidden cards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's all right.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's it for now. We will talk to you in the near future when we arrive in Carcosa itself.